9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Say his name and he appears. I believe it said.
What's up, beautiful people? If you hear the sound of my voice, if you're live on the stream, it is the mayor. It's July 27th. It's a Monday. And that means it's time for the Monday Night Mayor recap. And we've been gone for a long time. Mayor's back in town. Mayor's back in business. And that means checks have been cleared, deposits made, and finances have grown. And we are going to be back on your screens for the foreseeable future. And we got a lot to talk about. I'm going to let you guys fill in. I know you guys are just watching Unreal with the family and stuff like that, but we had a better Monday Night Raw than last week. I was going to give you guys a show last week, but we didn't really have much to discuss. It's the go-home show for SummerSlam. Actually, out here in Los Angeles, I was very close to getting the ticket to the show. Wasn't filling the prices. I get free parking down there by Intuit Dome, but I'd rather sit in a very good section. I haven't been inside the arena yet. I'm gonna be honest with you. So chose to just watch it from home. And, you know, it was a decent show. I'm pretty sure people are having their discrepancies with the show. And I understand why. I mean, it's the go home show and we didn't really get like go home energy, if you want to call it that. But I mean, that's the era that we in, y'all. And that's just WWE. I will tell you my favorite part of the show, and we'll get there in a second. My favorite part of the show is that we finally got Raquel Rodriguez a singles title. We had a clap it up sound. We would play the audience applause right now. We finally got a singles title for Raquel. Long time overdue. No shade to Soul. Just shy of 60-day title reign. I think we probably coordinated Soul a little bit too early for her to really ride the momentum and the wave of the Workhorse Championship title that the IC Women's title has held since its inception. But shout out to Big Mommy Cool actually getting a singles title. So now we don't have to worry about her chasing or possibly not getting the women's world championships that I think she deserved as well. Because I do think she should have beat Vaquer when she had that match on Raw some months ago. But shout out to her. Boza took the words out of my mouth. We're going to talk about the opening of the show, the weigh-in. Yes, in the TKO era, we are doing weigh-ins for professional wrestling now, as if it has any precedence on the in-ring work and in-ring match. We had the Hell in a Cell structure actually in the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles. We had a weigh-in. Triple H was there. Adam Pearce was there. And Oba entered the arena to do his weigh-in. Man weighs 301 pounds, I believe they said. Brock Lesnar locks Oba and company into the cage. And Paul Heyman, he's doing all this hype about Brock being the master of the Brocktagon. You guys have heard the stuff ad nauseum, just selling the match that doesn't really need to be sold. Boza, thank you for correcting me. They said Oba was 302. Said Brock weighed in backstage 303. Bullshit. And I'm a cuss on here. That's just what I do. But there's no way that Brock Lesnar weighs more than Oba Femi in the year 2026. Don't call it, but do what you got to do to sell the match. I don't think you need all this extra stuff and war of attrition and words to sell this match. This is the match that everybody wants to see on Sunday. We didn't really get the second match because Oba got jumped at the gun, but this is the one where it's like, okay, it's Hell in a Cell. I don't think Hell in a Cell is ever meant to be a sprint, so I think it's going to go at least 20 to 25 for both men. And if Boza, I don't know if you do the math. I did the math on this maybe a few weeks ago over the phone with a buddy. I think Brock's longest match might be like, was it like 17 minutes? I think it's somewhere between 17 and 23. So we don't know. Maybe Brock gives us his longest match ever and what might be his final match. But that's the match everybody's excited for. And you know what? I don't think you really need to sell it like they've been doing it because we're going to watch it regardless. First match of the night, first in-ring action that the Angelinos got was Alpha Academy versus Division. Titles are not on the line. And I will just say this, because we've been doing this for a few weeks with Division and Alpha Academy in lieu of Maxine now being a part of Division. I guess Paul Heyman has no affiliation with Division. We did that. We'll see what happens after SummerSlam, but this will lead to a tag team title shot. Street Profits lost the titles. Haven't seen them since. I think the War Raiders are still in AAA. Like, where are the other tag teams? Why aren't there more tag teams? Thank you, Boza. That was the anomaly. That's the anomaly I didn't remember. Brock did do a 60-minute Iron Man match with Kurt Angle. Yeah, where are the other tag teams? Where are the other tag teams that can actually want tag team gold in the midst of all this? It can't just be Alpha Academy. It can't be. And I don't know what the end game here. I don't know if there's a woman backstage that will assist with Maxine's interference eventually. Maybe what's Ivy Now doing? Maybe Ivy Now can join Alpha Academy. Where are the creeds? So many questions, and I don't know what the end game is here with Alpha Academy and Division, but this seems like a way just to bully the Alpha Academy. Maybe Chad Gable comes back and reignites Otis and Tozawa. Both guys can do great work in the ring. I want to see something solid happen than just the same thing over and over, because it seems like more of a recently Division seems like it's been more of a showcase for Braun Breaker than anything. It's like we're just showcasing Braun Breaker's music, because Division had its own music. Now it's just Braun Breaker's music. The finisher, it's not really a tag team finisher. It's just Braun Breaker doing a spear where Austin Theory holds the opponent. I don't know. And it feels so beneath Braun Breaker. And I know this is because Logan Paul got hurt. Bronson Reed should be back within the next quarter, I feel like. But it just feels beneath Braun Breaker. And it seems like he's being, what is the word? A little oversaturated here to overcompensate for whatever toughness the Vision is supposed to have. Vision pick up the win. Otis and Tozawa have a little flurry at the end of the match and they get beat up at the end. Vision stands tall ad nauseum. Same thing we've been seeing the past couple of weeks. We'll see what happens going forward in the future. Some vignettes that we've had as of late. I don't know if you guys have been seeing the Big Cass vignette. We're a week away from seeing Big Cass re-debut on Monday Night Raw. We saw Io Sky have a segment backstage talking about how Liv Morgan is not the greatest champion of all time, and that she's going to show her again that she's a superior wrestler. And we'll see. I hope that something good comes of that. But that was a good opening match. I'm not mad at the match. We got a real good taste of in-ring action in the second match of the night, which was Javon Evans versus Rusev. And if I'm being honest with you guys, I thought that Javon should have stayed at NXT a little bit longer, but right now he feels like the people's champion, if you would. The way the crowd interacts with him coming to the ring, the way he fills up the smiles of faces at the ringside. And it's not just the high flying stuff. It's just his infectious personality and energy. And I'm really upset that we never got to see whatever the stuff was going on with New Day since New Day left. I thought that was going to be something that really elevated Javon. And I can't wait till they really allow him to sink his teeth into a meaningful program. He's been stuck in this like IC title purgatory, but not really a chance to actually have that one-on-one. I know he had one-on-one match, but feels like he's just destined for more eventually. And beloved is a good word, Boza. I would say, yes, very beloved. And I would say this is my favorite match of the night, while Raquel was my favorite moment. This is a favorite match because the transitions so pure. The transition from the OG cutter to being caught, put in the accolade, him getting out of the accolade to he has like some Shining Wizard type knee, and then getting Rusev with a cutter, and then OG cutter getting the win. Just great stuff overall from two men. And I love that Rusev is kind of leaning into this gatekeeper enforcer role, where I thought he'd be chasing championships coming back, but he's like really elevating the young talent in the company, which is beautiful to see. Happy that Javon was able to get a win on Rusev, and we'll see what that means for him later. But it seems like him, Rusev, of course, Ethan Page, we're just seeing how the dust settles with Chad Gable and Penta this weekend. And of course, Chad Gable did have a vignette talking about how he's coming home this weekend and how he wants to continue his redemption story in front of his hometown and become IC champion, win his first singles gold. So that's a match to look forward to. But I do hope we get Chad Gable he already made a somewhat of amends with Otis and Tozawa, but they might as well reunite Alpha Academy if Alpha Academy is going to keep getting punked by the Vision. I think that's probably what's going to happen as soon as SummerSlam ends. What else we had? I was looking at a lot of tweets when this was going down, but the Joe Hendry Danhausen concert, which there's a lot of celebrities in attendance. I think Ashton Kutcher was there, of course, Ryan Garcia, which we saw in the concert segment. There were some other athletes there. I can't think of their names right now, but it's LA. So, I mean, they're going to get people to show up there. And the Joe Hendry Danhausen concert was something. I know it's for the kids. I know we got the mini houses and stuff like that, but I think a lot of your wrestling purists would prefer if this was more of just a backstage segment than something that took up serious TV time from other people. But I think it achieved what it was supposed to achieve, right? It's going to be talked about on ESPN. It's on Netflix. I wish we had something else for Joe Hendry to do than kind of the side missions he's been on, like the side missions with the Street Profits and the Vision. Now it's like the side missions with the Judgment Day. And I feel like we could have kept Joe in NXT and been the face of NXT longer if this was what he was destined for, which is just turning him into Elijah, essentially. Elijah / formerly known as Elias, where we lost the luster of say his name and he appears and he's just the guy that can play guitar and sing. Okay. So the song, the organ playing by Danhausen, it's funny. You get the Clippers street team, dance team come out there, dance around the ring. You get some Clippers influence, sport crossover there, which is cool. I dig it. And then you get Ryan Garcia to hit Joe Hendry with a guitar. Cool. Ryan Garcia is there. Of course, he can't really do more than that because he has a fight in another month and a half. So he's not going to get physical. So seeing him just lean, and the camera crew could have did a better job with this, but seeing him just lay in the background while the little people were attacking JD and Dom, optics could have been better there. I mean, we know you can't really get mixed up because you're in training camp and you have a fight. You can't risk getting hurt before your fight, lose your bread, lose your promotion, stuff like that. But it's why go through all that anyway? I get it. Netflix, sports TV, crossover. Ryan Garcia aligns with the Judgment Day. We get to talk about it, get a moment to build the fight. I get it. However long it was, we could have did without it. But Ryan Garcia takes on Conor Benn September 12th. That's why he was in this angle. It's all part of Zuffa boxing. But Danhausen being tended to backstage. We now know the match against Dom Mysterio this weekend is now going to be a money's on the pole match. So whatever money Judgment Day wants from him, it gets resolved this weekend. I'm pretty sure this would be a very entertaining match, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's on the first hour for free on ESPN, just because we can do a lot to talk about that for the ESPN network. Of course, with Danhausen's relationship with ESPN, with the Knicks, there's a lot of play you can make there with the whole money angle. So we'll see. The parallels between Dom Mysterio and AAA and on main roster, it's he's such a star in AAA and he just turned on Big Grande. And of course, I think he's going to drop that belt to Big Grande eventually. But and now he also has Omos, I believe, in his corner as well. But we'll see. Seems like the men of Judgment Day need to be heated up a little bit more. Maybe they can chase the tag team titles from the Division as well, JD and Dom. But that was an interesting segment, and that's where I'll leave that. What did Sindel say? Do we get an actual Liv, EO versus Liv actual promo? No, we didn't. We got the Joe Hendry Danhausen concert. I believe we did see a Liv backstage promo during the commercials as well, talking about her title reign and how she's going to prove that she's the greatest women's champion of all time, all that type of stuff. But no, not in ring. I mean, which is fine because at least we got a women's match on television this week. Last week we didn't have any women's matches on Raw or any women's in-ring promos whatsoever. So that was actually very glaring from last week's Monday Night Raw, which I really wanted to give you guys a recap last week, but that taste in my mouth, I figure we let it breathe a little bit. Rey Mysterio versus All Ego Ethan Page. Great match, and I love that Ethan Page follows the rules of logic and feels like he actually has watched wrestling before, because just like Rusev and Javon, that was a great finish. Of course, being in Southern California, Rey Mysterio is going to wrestle in front of the home crowd. Good to see him putting in the work on Netflix and TV. Great match between the guys. Big win for Ethan Page, taking out Rey Mysterio by blocking the 619 with the ring apron. You don't see stuff like this more. More so like utilizing the elements, using things to win a match. And Ethan Page showing that ring psychology there, which I think will continue to aid his character. He's somebody I would like to see get a main roster title sooner rather than later. Sooner rather than later, because he's doing all the right things. Maybe he can be the antithesis to Chad Gable if Chad Gable defeats Penta this weekend. But I would love to see him get more credibility in the title picture. Of course, I would love to see that in the main title picture, but you know who we got at the top of the card there, so I don't see that happening anytime soon, unfortunately. The rest of the show outside of the women's match was really just hype, so I want to run through that first. We had, of course, the Usos coming out, having their Warlord solos. Koa, LA Knight and Solo start the attack. Jacob comes in as the heater, and then Royce Keys, who they made look like $1 million in this segment, came and cleaned house, stood toe-to-toe with Jacob. But of course, them making Jacob seem like more than an enforcer to the bloodline, like even more so than Solo was in his heyday of the bloodline. He's really the uncontrollable one of the bloodline, and it takes a lot to take him out. And I like that we're still doing that in spite of him being under Roman Reigns' thumb. But this segment did a lot for Royce Keys, not only getting the run-in effect with the music, but also just being able to stand toe-to-toe with Jacob, hit his finisher, and be what really thwarted Jacob's attempt, leaving Jacob kind of shook. However you feel about this three-way and where all 6 parties go after this, I don't think it's a bad thing. And I hope it's nothing like campy where Solo turns on the team and aligns to the bloodline. Hopefully we get something like real good to sink our teeth in here, because they've invested so much in recent weeks to LA Knight on promo segments and on the mic, and so much into the Solo character that even when Solo is doing his meet and greets, there's footage from all these fans showing how much fun he's having being a babyface, that it's starting to trend online. So I really hope that we get something to play with after SummerSlam, after this is all said and done, or even if it continues. And the bloodline gets stronger another way, because there are many members of the bloodline that exist. So we'll have to see exactly what takes place there. And then, of course, I'm going to jump the women's match because I want to spend some time there. But the ending of the show was what you expected. Roman Reigns coming to acknowledge the crowd, or get the crowd to acknowledge him. Seth Rollins interrupts. They jaw back at each other, back and forth, say some personal things. Seth says he hopes his family is going to be there in attendance so he can embarrass him again, just like cashing in front of his family and making them cry, which causes Roman to attack. Roman attacks, gets the leg up. Seth is in that bent over position like Roman was when the Shield got broke up. Roman unable to pull the trigger fast enough and gets hit with a stomp. And that's how we close that match, closed in Monday Night Raw with Seth Rollins standing tall, I believe, yet again, which we now know that Roman and Seth is going to be the main event of night 2 of SummerSlam. So it makes me feel like there's a surprise angle there. I'd love to know what you guys think. Are we going to get... Seth alluded to some of those things already. Like last time they were at one-on-one when Seth did the Shield cosplay, Roman got disqualified. Maybe the family comes and helps Roman out. Are there any men in hoods that can be lingering around that I guess that can sway this match? Or do we get a true one-on-one where Roman stands tall? And I think if I remember correctly, a lot of WWE shows, as opposed to like a few years ago when we kept seeing like masked men, hooded men all the times, they've been very straightforward ends to pay-per-views. No like returns. So I wonder if we're going to have a big return or a big debut happen that causes this to like go awry with this, because they're trying to play it up like, hey, this is the last time for one person to get the one up on the another. However you feel about Mox and if he'll ever come back to the company, like I'm pretty sure he'll be a Hall of Famer. You'll get the Shield Hall of Fame induction. Maybe we never do get that triple threat match, but I don't think this is the last time that these guys will meet in a ring, because I think you have to also do it at WrestleMania. So we'll see what happens, but Seth standing tall multiple times in recent weeks makes me think that Roman will eventually this weekend, we'll get the monkey off his back, just straightforward. No thrills, no help, no nothing. Just like, hey, I'm the guy, you're not. I'm player one, you're player two. And I don't know if that's the right way to end SummerSlam. I hope SummerSlam has other surprises, because we've seen the ticket sales and all the different things that they're doing to try to make it feel larger than life. And I think it really needs to end with a bang. Really does. Before we get into the IC title match, Sindale's asking if we can get our thoughts on the Strong Room, which Lola Vice heading to SmackDown. Sindale, I think the writing is on the wall, which is kind of ironic because Damian Priest just got the AAA, right? And Lola drops the mixed tag team championships this past Saturday and seemingly left her gear, took a picture of her gear in the locker room, seemingly signifying that her time in AAA is done. She's done a lot of work there to build the brand, but of course there's other ladies who can come do stints in AAA, and she was doing double duty for a while. Underground match in just a few weeks, and she hasn't lost underground match, 4-0 in underground, and it's rumored that she'll be on SmackDown, of course, because her partner Damian Priest on SmackDown can absolutely elevate the division. I think that women's United States title scene can definitely use an influx, because to my knowledge, Blake Moreau has only been in backstage segments. She still can help out with getting her lick back that she never got. Well, she won the title off Fatal Influence, but you can still do some stuff with Lola versus Fatal Influence. But I'm interested to see how they use her and how they debut her when it happens. But I'm also hoping that she becomes two-time NXT Women's Champion, because it would be an absolute travesty to have your own signature match not carry over to the main roster. You can't do that. And I get that we want to make Kendall Gray like a made woman overnight and build her personality and do all these things. She's going to be in NXT for a while. We don't have to like step on so many other people's momentum and making Kendall Gray. Like, Kendall Gray is dope as she is. She's always been dope. But I don't think she deserves winning or being the only woman to defeat Lola Vice in Underground. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't think that's the case. She's not a big enough star to have that accolade yet, and I don't think she should make her star power off somebody else's back just to be women's champion. So I'm hoping that we get the Oba Femi type of rub here, where Lola stands tall, wins NXT Women's title, and vacates instantly. Stands tall and is like, hey, I told you I was getting my title back, but I don't need it. I got bigger things to accomplish. And I hope that's what we get. Sol Ruca taking on Raquel Rodriguez. And of course, this was a great match. I'm not going to hold you. And I like that it ended the way it did, because it still makes Sol look strong, still makes Sol look like there was a lot to overcome her hot start to main roster. Of course, it took Roxy to come down and help. Then it took Liv to also help. EO came down to make the save. So you get the women's title interaction before in the go home show before SummerSlam. And the way it ended, because I mean, Sol has been really good at Soul Snatcher out of nowhere. Raquel being able to distract her just enough for her to hit her head on the pole. We get a Chingona bomb. And we get 3. And however you feel about Soul's title reign, because she defeated Becky Lynch to earn the title and allows Becky to take time off, gets her first singles title on the main roster. She's had a hot start either way. But I think you need to see Soul and more programming and force her to be kind of the workhorse champion that title needs. I don't think it really does her justice character-wise to put her in that spot just yet. But I'm so happy for Raquel because I thought she'd be women's champion by now, and being able to just stand tall, bloody nose and all from the match, getting her first singles gold on main roster. I think she has the most women's tag team title reigns of any other woman on main roster. But being able to have that singles title right now keeps the Judgment Day fresh as a faction, because now they have more gold. It takes away from the distraction that the men's champions are really doing anything in main roster world. Of course, Dom's still AAA mega champion. But then even if Liv drops to EO this weekend, it's like you still have gold in the Judgment Day. And I think that makes a lot of sense for Raquel's trajectory, that maybe it's not right now, but eventually you see her as a champion now. And whenever you push that button with her and Rhea for a title again on main roster, it's like, hey, we know that Raquel is able to overcome Rhea and actually beat her for the big title now, because, hey, you've been IC champion, you've been a workhorse champion, and we'll see how long of a title reign this is. But I like the contrast that we have with her as champion now, because you'll have Crazy Lyra running around wanting to get the title that she held first before anybody. Maybe Becky comes back for the IC belt. Of course, Soul will chase it. There's so many layers you have with the women now with a heel that is the IC women's champion than your traditional baby faces. It's kind of like the same play you had with Becky. I agree with that too, Boza. Maybe Stephanie can come back, but I think Stephanie was penciled in for Liv to be challenging her all summer, and her injury just like really triggered like a bad snowball effect where we had to do something else, which that's what sucks about the title pictures, is that injuries have kind of probably has really like messed up their plans. It doesn't seem like they've pivoted well with those other plans, unfortunately. Cindy says, who do you have walking out of SummerSlam with the women's world title? Because surely something has to happen to trigger JD betraying someone else. I've long felt that I felt like Liv would be the odd woman out of Judgment Day if something ever happens, because she can just go and do stuff with Dom. But even I saw Dom on a podcast and they're asking like, what's up with Liv? Like, we don't see as many pictures before, stuff like that. We don't see the post anymore. So he's trying to play up that angle, but maybe they boot Liv out the Judgment Day. Who knows? But whoever does eventually get the boot, because the faction is hanging on by a thread. Whoever gets the boot can easily go to SmackDown and enhance that division. Easily. Like if Raquel went to SmackDown, makes a lot of sense. If Roxy gets the boot, because I honestly think that Roxy and Raquel will still be a pair regardless. Made a great tag team. But Raquel and Liv have the history. So the big thing would be booting Liv out. So we'll have to see. I don't know. I don't think it happens this weekend, though. And I don't think EO actually wins the title. I think they telegraphed EO becoming Queen of the Ring, because it doesn't make sense to have Liv be Queen of the Ring when she's already champion. It messes up too many storylines. But I think EO won't be able to overcome the numbers of Judgment Day, and then we'll still get Liv as champion. Maybe they jump EO after the bell, and then Stephanie returns. I think that'll be one big return this weekend. Another thing I can chat with you guys about before I get up out of here. It looked like during the Javon match that something legitimately happened to Rusev. Maybe I think he got a kick to the eyes or something like that, which caused some confusion for Javon's next spot in the match, just because the ref was checking on Rusev, but the camera just stayed on Javon in the ring, and Javon was kind of just waiting it out, which is very interesting. Very interesting that that happened, but obviously Rusev finished the match, but it was definitely a scare moment to be on live TV. What do you guys think about what's going to happen with Brock and Oba? Because one thing, now that we know how night 1 and night 2 is, depending on how night 1 goes, do we feel like, and I know the councilman's been on record for this, thinking that somehow, some way, Oba's still going to find his way into his earned championship match as King of the Ring. Do we feel like Oba defeats Brock and then finds his way into Roman and Seth's match on Sunday? Because I think for that alone, that's a good way that they can keep that feud alive. And I'm talking about Seth and Roman for later on. Like, hey, this wasn't a one-on-one match. Something happened. Oba got in between it. and Oba gets the title shot that he deserves. Lynette, if you just missed it, I think it's beautiful that Raquel got her first singles gold. I think it was the right call. I think everybody won in that scenario. I don't think it hurts Soul at all. Yeah, if Oba doesn't go over, what was the point? Like, you didn't have to have him win King of the Ring. In fact, you could have had Jay win King of the Ring and challenge Cody. But I think that they've never fully addressed Oba being king and having that title shot. All he's done in a promo is say, like, hey, if I would have went for the title, you would have ruined it for me either way. I don't think he ever verbally said, I'm relinquishing my title opportunity. Or if he did, y'all let me know. Because I don't think you can do that. So he would still be next in line whenever this stuff is over with. But yeah, lots to discuss. Of course, this weekend we'll have watch-alongs on both days, Saturday and Sunday for both days of SummerSlam. Some shows coming to LA soon, so make sure you keep it locked. I'll be in the field at some of these local shows. I mentioned Lucha and Lattes last time I was here. There's a couple other shows, Santino Brothers and others that I might try to pull up on, get some interviews. And Lynette is saying, let's say Liv Morgan loses title to Genius of the Sky. She wins Money in the Bank again. That means that she needs to cash it in on whoever she wants. If something like that happens, where Liv were to win Money in the Bank, I don't think she would cash it in on Io. I think she would cash it in on Rhea or whoever the interim champion is after this weekend. And then that's how you set up like another Liv versus Rhea thing, which, because we love to do that for some reason. But like I was saying, we got a lot of content this week. Of course, we'll be back for WWT Live on Wednesday, as well as Friday, giving you predictions of what we feel is going to happen at SummerSlam. I'm pretty sure TK did recap Redemption. If not, make sure you lock in with Courtney on Wednesday for a recap of AEW Redemption. Really solid show. Really interested to see why and what is going to happen as a result of Ospreay departing from the Death Riders. I felt like that was a big part of this storyline for him. So we'll see. Of course, shout out to Willow Nightingale becoming AEW Women's Champion, which means she has the CEO waiting for her at All In. Of course, make sure you lock in with me on the socials, y'all. I'm actually let you guys find me this time. Seth is the answer on TikTok. Seth is the answer on Instagram. And I now have a YouTube channel where I'm uploading all of my content. Seth is the answer there. Check out my videos. Subscribe if you would. Support your boy. I'm trying to upload something every other day or every week at the very least. Now that the Monday Night Mayor check has cleared, we'll be back here on Mondays. And I might even be back tomorrow night for NXT, because if Lola's going to be leaving NXT, the mayor got to give y'all opinions and takes on that, about her NXT run, everything we've done up to this point, and what's next for Miss Vice. So don't be surprised if y'all see me tomorrow. Don't be surprised. But yeah, make sure you lock me in the socials. Follow everybody. Support the team here at Women's Wrestling Talk. We got a lot of dope creators that are creating their own podcasts, channels, as well as getting in the field, making a lot of great content. Lynette, that is Set is the answer, just like my TikTok and IG pages. But make sure y'all lock in with us this week. We're going to keep you guys laced with content for SummerSlam. Of course, we got TNA on Thursdays as well. And we are going to be in the field a lot in Southern California and other places over the next month, giving you guys all the scoops and wrestling news that you guys deserve to have at your fingertips. I've been your mayor. It's been an honor being back with you guys on Monday night. And I'll see you guys back next Monday for sure. But keep your eyes open for tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.